Hi there. I'm guessing you're watching this video because you're in the process of writing a white paper and you feel stuck. Maybe you can't get started. Just picking a topic is overwhelming. Or maybe you're partway in and you don't know what to write next. Or maybe you've got your whole white paper planned out, but you can't find any authoritative sources to quote. Don't quit. I've got a couple of suggestions that might help. A lot of people who want to write a white paper get stuck at the starting line. They have a pretty good idea of what a white paper is. They know they need to write one either for work or for a client, but they don't know where to start. If that's you, here are 4 things you should do. Okay, number 1, tell me who your white paper is for. Who is going to be reading it? Be very specific. It can be used to reach multiple types of prospects, but when you write it, you need to have one specific audience in mind. 2, now that you know who it's for, tell me the big problem that your reader is having that will be solved by reading your white paper. If you need to make a list of their biggest problems that your product might solve for them, then do that and pick the strongest one to address in your white paper. Okay, 3, you are going to give them valuable information because your company has a lot of expertise in solving the kind of problem you just picked. So tell me, what do you know that they want to know? Getting this valuable information will make it worthwhile to them to sit down and read your white paper. Okay, 4, now that you know the above 3 things, in 20 seconds or less, tell me what your white paper is about. If you don't know enough to pitch it, or you can't sell me on reading it in 20 seconds, then you need to work on defining why your prospects are going to want to read it and what it needs to contain to convince them. Now, what if you've gotten stuck somewhere in the middle of your white paper? You're just not sure what to write next. Well, this one's pretty simple. If you can't write, then plan. Meaning you need to make a detailed outline of what you're going to write. Or if you have an outline and you get stuck, that means it's not detailed enough. To make that kind of detailed pattern to follow, you first need to know the big idea you're trying to convince your reader of. Then you have a list of the big arguments you're going to have to make to convince them. And I mean, as you're doing these, really think like a skeptic. And then each of those major points will have subpoints, and then you will need outside examples and citations to bolster your arguments. Otherwise, it's just your opinion. A detailed outline is like turn-by-turn directions for getting to a destination. You won't get lost when you're driving there. And speaking of quoting authoritative sources, what if you can't find the ones your outline calls for? Your outline says, put in a quote that talks about X, but you've Googled the subject every way you can think of, and there's no book, magazine, trade journal, or even an online article that talks about the specific thing you are addressing. Okay, at this point, you basically have 3 choices. 1, create the research you can't find. Have your client or company conduct an unbiased survey that gives you the data you need. This can be very convincing. The downside is that it costs money and it takes time that you may not have. Okay, option 2, build your white paper outline based on what you can find in your industry. And by that I mean gather your quotes first and then see what kind of outline you can create based on them that will still make your point. Or 3, widen your search to include sources outside your industry. Okay, so maybe your white paper is specific to fast food restaurant staffing issues. You could look for articles that talk about staffing issues for retail stores in general, and then choose the ones that apply well for your specific niche. For example, there are principles and rules of thumb in human resource management that apply to all kinds of different businesses. Okay, I hope that helps. Don't quit when you run up against a barrier. Figure it out and keep going. It will make you a better white paper writer. If you need to write a white paper right now, I have resources for you listed below. Thanks.